and welcome to my first baking video. Today we're going to be making all vegan, all delicious chocolate chip cookie cake. We're going to start off with our wet ingredients. We have 3/4 cup of margarine softened. We have 3/4 cups of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of cane sugar, 3 tablespoons of applesauce, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. So we're going to start off by adding in our margarine into a large mixing bowl. And then we want to get this all nice and fluffy. Now we're going to add in the sugar. We want to get this nice and combined. This helps to get all of the lumps out. You don't want lumpy cookies. Now that all the lumps are out, I've switched to using a normal spoon. And then we're going to add in our 3 tablespoons of applesauce. Applesauce is a good substitute to using a lot of oil. And mix that in. We're going to add in the 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I added in a little bit more than 2 teaspoons just because you can never have too much vanilla. Okay, now this is looking nice and smooth, and we're going to move on to our dry ingredients. So here are all of our dry ingredients. We have 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of cornstarch, and half a teaspoon of salt are both in here. So we're going to start off by adding this nice giant bowl of flour. Pour that all in there. And now we're going to add in the baking soda and the cornstarch and salt. We're going to whisk these all together. Make sure it's all nice and combined. So now that we have our dry ingredients mixed together and our wet ingredients mixed together, we're going to add the wet into the dry. Usually people think that you're supposed to add the dry into the wet, but I don't really think it matters, so we're just going to go for it. Now this doesn't look very appetizing. Kind of looks like puke. But we're going to mix this until it looks nice. And then once this is mixed, we'll add in our chocolate chunks. Chunky. Now that this is combined, it's nice and smooth, we're going to add in our chocolate chunks. Just add in really as much as you want. So I'm going to mix this up and see how it looks. See if we need to add some more chocolate. You can always add more, always do less, just really whatever you like. I think this looks pretty good. And I like to add a little bit of extra pizzazz, so we're going to add some rainbow sprinkles. It up. I love bright colors, as you can probably tell. Perfect. So now that this is combined, we're just going to spray a pan with some Pam. We want to make sure it's completely coated, so I'm just going to spread it around with a paper towel to get all of the edges, all the corners of this circle. There are lots of corners and circles. Now we're going to go from this dough to final cake. And this is your finished product. Wait a second. We skipped a few steps. Let's go back. Now we're going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. Now we're going to put this in the oven for about 20 minutes or until you can stick a knife through it and nothing will come off. So while that cake is cooking, we're going to make our frosting. So I've added some margarine in here. We're going to start to whip this up, and then we're going to add in the rest of our ingredients. I usually like to do everything by hand, but frosting's a little bit difficult. So now that the margarine's all nice and whipped up, we're going to add in some of our powdered sugar, also called confectioner sugar. Now this you really just have to see as you go how much you're going to need in the total recipe. So now we added some confectioner sugar in there, and we're going to mix this up. So we're going to add in a little bit of vanilla. And we're also gonna add in a little bit of rice milk. Now we're gonna mix that up. Okay, so the cake is done. It looks amazing. I'm gonna put it on this cooling rack. So we want to flip it onto this plate so it can cool faster. So I just put this plate on top and we're gonna flip it over and hopefully it comes out easily. Oh, sounded like it. And beautiful. We're gonna put it back on this plate so it has the nice part up. And then we're gonna wait for that to cool, and then we're gonna frost it. And I actually ended up making the frosting chocolate because the consistency wasn't quite right, and chocolate will probably taste better anyway. So now that the cake has cooled, we're going to frost it with our chocolate frosting. So you wanna just get a nice blob on there. Spread a nice thin layer. You don't want too much because it's a really sweet frosting. And this cake would be good for really any event, like a birthday party, any type of gathering. And it's totally vegan, but if you don't tell people that it's vegan, they honestly won't even know. So, yeah. And now this is the finished product. It's so cute. It looks really good. Definitely gonna eat this later. So if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And see you next time.